Welcome back to Mom's Kitchen. I'm fixing to make snickerdoodles and I thought y'all might want to watch. I'm going to drop the recipe in the description box below, and soon, hopefully, you'll have your very own snickerdoodles. Now, first of all, we're going to start with flour. There are 2 3/4 cups in here, which is 330 grams. I actually weigh my dry ingredients instead of measuring because that's easier and more specific. But anyway, you need 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar in the jar. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and that's in the box. And I want to show you, you're not using baking powder. You're using baking soda. We will need a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks of it softened, and I've had this sitting out for several hours, so it's at room temperature. We're going to need a 1.5 cups of sugar, or 300 grams, and 2 eggs. Now, also, we need 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. And that's on this plate right here. We're going to roll them in that when we get through. But anyway, the first thing we're going to do is mix the first 4 dry ingredients together. So that is the flour, the cream of tartar, the baking soda, and the salt. Let me grab that. Just a 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, now let's get this stirred up. Let's grab a whisk. Now we're going to whisk these dry ingredients together. Get them all mixed up. Now we're going to move on to the wet ingredients. Okay, here we go with the rest of it. We're going to put the butter in a separate bowl, and I had the little 1/2 sticks, but normally it just takes 2 whole sticks. And like I said, these have been sitting out softening, so I'm just going to pop them in here, and then we will pour the sugar on top of this. There's 4. Okay, now put the sugar on top, and we're going to cream this, so we're going to need some help from the beater. Okay, that should do us, and this is what you're going to have. You want to get that sugar kind of starting to dissolve there. And I'm going to scrape these just a little. They came out pretty clean, but anyway. Okay, so there's our sugar and butter creamed together. So now we're going to add the 2 eggs. 1 egg and 2 eggs. Okay, so we got the eggs in there. Now let's give it another little bit of a beat. And I will clean the beaters off this time. The rest of that out of there. Now, we are going to add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients, or you can do it vice versa if you prefer. It doesn't matter. And we're going to stir this together. I'll use the beater in just a second. It's just, if I stick it in there right now, flour is going to go everywhere. So, let's just kind of get that moistened down some. See, normally I put the dry ingredients in the little bowl and the wet in the big bowl, but this time Mom forgot. So, we'll work with it. Okay. And clean that off of there, because that looks like that's a couple of cookies right there. And now we're ready to shape the cookies and bake the cookies. My oven has been preheating to 350, so it is ready. If you want to chill your dough for about an hour, that makes a really nice cookie too. It doesn't spread out as much. So usually what I do is I put one batch in the oven, and then I put the dough in the refrigerator and let it be cooling for the next batch. But anyway, all you're going to do, and if you don't have a handy dandy cookie scoop, just use a teaspoon or whatever, and make sure your hands are clean, please. Roll it into a ball, and then you're just going to kind of toss it around onto the cinnamon sugar, okay? And then put it on your cookie sheet. Now I use, as you can see, I have a piece of parchment paper on my cookie sheet. I just like the way that works. You don't have to have that. So I'm just going to continue making balls and rolling them around and putting them on the sheet. Then when I get the sheet full, we're going to put it in the oven. And 8 to 10 minutes is good for one that's this size. Now if you want to make a larger cookie, you're going to have to add a couple of minutes. But keep in mind, these do cook a little bit after you pull them out. So you would want them just a tad underdone before you snatch them out of the oven. Okay? So I'm going to finish making all these, and I will put them in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll see what they look like, okay? Okay, that's 10 minutes. And they're ready to come out of the oven. And they will need to cool now. So, like I said, you can make these bigger if you want to. I usually have to make them go around a lot of people, so I make the smaller ones. This size will make 3 to 4 dozen. So if you make them twice as big, you'll get half as many. How about that? Let me let these cool, and then I'll put them on a nice little plate for our final picture. And y'all come back to the kitchen next time. Thanks. Bye.